Hello everyone and welcome to a prediction. This time an actual prediction because...
What's up, motherfuckers? I'm the Gumball Viking, famous for Gumball Viking, and more importantly, ruining podcasts. And today I'm going to ruin a prediction and take over this channel. This is now Gumball Viking's channel. I have stolen all of your subscribers, absorbed it into my biomass, and I am going to invade Poland.
Minor
So
pronunciation
anyway, this
mistake,
is...
get owned. Biomass.
Biomass. So anyway, this is Bowser versus Eggman.
Because unlike last time, someone
I
actually
know
wants
that,
to talk about it.
yes,
I think nothing describes
trust
how
me.
much the debate for Joker Giorno just died off long ago than the fact that nobody wanted to talk to me about it when there was a good while a bit back where there were tons of people saying, hey, when they eventually do Joker Giorno, I want to be on the prediction. And now, when it actually happens, no one cares.
To be fair, to be fair, I offered, but I think like that night you uploaded that one video,
Yeah,
so I was like, oh, okay, he has it handled.
you offered right as I uploaded it. Because the super
Imagine
secret
I could have
actual
ruined two
prediction...
predictions. I could have ruined two predictions in a row.
The super secret actual prediction was meant to be an actual prediction, but the video I did have, I like it a lot.
Just like, I'm proud of this one. I laid on the floor for like a minute.
No, well, for about 5 minutes, but I kept laughing because Huan was there talking. But there's the super secret prediction in the description, which is something else entirely.
Okay, so if my voice sounds a bit different, that's because I have my laptop resting on my chest, and I had a long day of work, so... We're going to talk about Bowser, we're going to talk about Eggman, we're going to talk about how their children are drafted for war, and how war has no winners except for one guy here. So, let's get into that. We're going to start with the guy who likes getting his feet licked. What an introduction.
Oh no, you
I'm
put
so
yourself into
fucking
this
tired.
situation. You can get yourself out of it.
Lick my feet.
Yeah, and have feet.
I'm tired. Okay, so Bowser. So they're taking this in an army direction. So I guess the best way to start is to look at his army. Half of them are suicidal. That is very much. I think that says a lot about the morale going on in Bowser's Kingdom.
Or it
Like,
could say something about the education system.
the Goombas and Koopas are walking off cliffs. That in itself would have an implication, right?
Yeah, but maybe it's just they just really have really poor education. No one's in the schools telling them don't do that.
You could see it one of two ways. They're either really undereducated, or Bowser is treating them so badly that they just don't have anyone to talk to, no other options left, and it's really depressing. And someone should
Or
really speak out on that.
there's a caste system. This is like Dual Academy. You have the green Coopers, they're the Slifer Reds, and then you have the red Coopers, they're obviously the Obelisk Blues. They get the proper education, that's why they don't walk off the edge.
Look at the green goofers over there.
Yeah, that does mean Jaden Yuki would be a green Cooper.
Oh yeah, but like green Koopas walk off cliffs, not commit genocide. So
Yeah, well they genocide themselves.
yes, but it's not the same thing. That's a false equivalency. You know how much this community hates that.
You're a false equivalency.
I never denied that.
Well, that's a false equivalency right there.
So, that's like the lowest rank. Even the lowest rank minions can scale to Mario characters in extreme circumstances. Because you got like Mario Kart, all the sports titles. A Goomba could beat Mario's ass in a game of baseball, but if it ever got physical, like, that's it. He's flatlined.
Unless the Goomba makes physical contact with Mario, of course. Then he goes and loses a mushroom.
And then if he does it again, he goes...
And fucking dies.
But like, Yeah, no, he's dead, gone. But if Mario, like lifts a finger and actually tries to hurt the Goomba, it's just. I'm going to be abusing this soundboard tonight. I hope you bear with me.
We've
Um,
noticed. We've noticed, mate.
yes, thank you. All right, so the low ranked ones, they don't have much strategy on their own. They have like a couple of ways to fight. You got the variations, of course, but for all intents and purposes, the low ranked Bowser soldiers are not going to be contributing much other than sheer quantity.
Are you
Which I
saying
will
that
spoil right
Torpedo
now.
Ted is not going to be a deciding factor of this?
I do think this is leading to something because I do think one of the most obvious advantages, as far as armies is concerned, Bowser's is way bigger. Um, he could spread them evenly across entire universes, the galaxy games. He has fleets across countless galaxies, and he's never short in staff or number. So I think to me that just says, holy shit, he has a lot of these things.
I think Bowser's also more
And
consistently portrayed as having a full-on army, while there are a lot of Sonic games where it almost just seems like Eggman just has a really big battalion, but he doesn't have like some massive army of countless troops.
I think the more accurate statement is to say that Eggman's battalion and army is more centered on a central location rather than spread out.
Yeah,
Obviously, in the classic games, they're all throughout specific levels and stuff. But in the more modern entries, if he wants to put them at a certain location, they're all going to be on that one location.
no, I'm gonna be
What
honest.
you could say is like,
The only time I can
they
recall
could
it
have,
really feeling like an army is like in the intro of Sonic Unleashed.
yeah, so like, you could say that's a thing with their strategy. Bowser spreads them all out. Eggman goes for a central point. Um, so back on Bowser's army real quick. The higher ups, um, you got Boom Boom, the Mad Lad. You got Pom
Boom Boom, love
Pom,
him.
the Mad Gal. Doesn't really roll off the tongue as much. You got the Koopalings. You got Bowser Jr. You got Kamek. Okay, so Boom Boom and Pom Pom. They're basically like glorified hitboxes.
They're pretty fucking useless. Usually the most
I mean,
dangerous part of any of their boss
Pom Pom
fights is
can
the
clone
environment.
herself. Pom Pom can clone herself, I guess.
And Boom Boom can die. Don't forget about Reznor though.
Feminism
There's
strikes
always
again.
Reznor. Four
And
four fucking trikes
I
that just
fucking
shoot
love that
fireballs and
song.
stand on little platforms and die. Gotta love Reznor. Is Reznor the group, or like is there one Reznor that has three clones, or are they all just named Reznor, like they're the Super Reznor Bros?
I have the Super Mario World comic. I can answer this.
Well, do
When
then.
they show up in the comic, Peach refers to them as Resnors, as in plural, so
Ah,
it's the little creatures.
so can I just call them the Super Reznor Bros?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that then. The Super Reznor Bros, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Reznors, as we call them.
I love how we have an army full of turtles, but this is where you make the TMNT reference.
Yeah,
You
I
see, I
like
respect this
dinosaurs.
about you.
I like
You have
non-avian
this
dinosaurs, bro.
original brand about you.
Anyway, you may now continue to the
Um,
Koopalings.
all right, so the Koopalings. They're all on the spectrum somewhere, and I'm really proud of that representation. But they're also not really good at their jobs.
They have magic. They're not good at it, but like they got it.
They do have magic, but like Bowser has the power to like fly, transform himself, transmute people, turn into stone. Lemmy makes balls.
I think it's weird that the Koopalings are often portrayed as having some magical abilities, but in like their original appearance, they really don't. They just have magic wands that like belong
That
to the
don't even
kings.
belong to them.
Like they just swiped them. But like they just
And
like
like
Bowser's such a
sometimes
good dad because after they got beaten up and lost their wands, he went and was like, okay, I bought you some from Timu. Here's some replacements.
And if we just kind of assume those ones have the same functionality, then yes, they all have transmutation, but they never really take advantage of it. So I
Mm,
do not think it's viable to say that they would go for it
but you want
because we only have evidence of
transmutation?
doing it
There
once.
is a different Magic Koopa on the scene that has made better use of it.
Yes, the Magic Koopas and Kamek. I like how Kamek looks no different from any other Magic Koopa. We just know that it's him for the vibes.
Yeah, you know it's Kamek when there's just one and he's up near the front, but otherwise it's just that could be a Magic Koopa. But like one of the most memorable levels in Mario World to me is the one where Magic Koopa just keeps showing up, turning blocks into Koopas, and they just fall to their death.
I love that too, except for it's the block directly under me, and then I fall to my death.
Just jump.
I did jump, and then I jumped into the block that he transmuted. It was really bad timing.
No, that you should have spin jumped.
You know what? Maybe you're right.
But yeah, Kamek's useful. He can make
Kamek
any
is
of.
really
He can
useful,
turn
but
Bowser's
he's
entire
also
army
really
into an army of
frail.
kaiju if he was ever intelligent.
I guess we can bring this up now. Mario characters, on average, I do not think that they have what it takes to get a college degree.
No.
And the Death Battle preview itself kind of cemented this, but they're not buying Bowser's IQ statement. I am
Yeah, the
so
fucking what was it,
validated.
1600 IQ or something like that?
9,800, I think.
That's exactly what I said. Like, it's ridiculous. Bowser, you can barely fucking. Well, I can't even say you can barely put your shoes on in the morning. You just can't. You don't.
It's not an inability, it's a lifestyle.
It could. Why not both, to be honest? Bowser just leaves his fucking
But
back door open for Mario to just waltz on in.
that Bowser IQ statement has been bought by Mario fans for so long because, oh, it's a statement. Yeah, coming from the guy who leaves all of the traps behind him for him to use.
I
It's
think
the
it's.
one that installed the super lava from the new Super
I.
Mario Bros. DS. Look how that turned
Yeah,
out.
let's not forget he can unleash the super lava on Eggman and invalidate all of his durability feats.
Eggman, when he sees all his doohickeys get melted by the lava.
No,
No
you
way!
can't.
I
You
can't believe this!
you can't kill the Time Eater with lava. It's super lava, Eggman. No. That's just how it ends. He just fucking dunks the Time Eater in the super lava. What's it gonna do? Live?
Simply go back in time to when there was no super
Okay,
lava,
but you
I
see,
suppose.
Bowser. You know what Bowser can do? Yeah, we'll get to that. Um,
Well, alright, so let's talk about the Koopa magic.
you've just
that
completely
he
forgotten
uses all
about
the
Bowser
time,
Jr. But
clearly. So Bowser has the ability to change his size. Sometimes he uses Kamek, sometimes he doesn't.
usually he just kind of
Um,
does it on his own. He just like becomes giant. It was one of the new games where like you beat him and then he's just like, no, and he's giant now.
No.
Yeah, but I
um,
prefer him just having a normal voice, just going, no, I don't agree, Mario. It's just been becoming giant.
I do not.
Wahoo! I think Bowser is dead. I do not. Da 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 da.
Um, it can transform his appearance, where you see this happen once in the Mario OVA and never again. The
Mm-hmm.
one where Luigi wears blue, so it's a very reliable source.
Do you think Bowser's
Just as
brother
valid
is
as
going to be
using
in
the
the fight?
Mario Bros.
Just
Super
a thought.
Show in the episode where you promised that you were gonna stick to the games. Thank you, Death Battle.
Okay, but do you think Bowser's brother will show up in the episode?
I think he was killed in the while on duty.
Okay, but what if Eggman kills Bowser and then it turns out it was just Bowser's brother?
I would rather that than Bowser Jr.
I could just imagine him like, yes, I've killed him. And then just off screen, you got Bowser going, no, my brother. And then they just never bring it up again. They just get back to fighting and never address that.
No, that's how Fury Bowser comes out. You killed my brother.
You killed my brother. I made a bunch of jokes in my server that no one's allowed to be in about like just Bowser locking in with like these really cliche like cringy lines about like you killed my baby boy. And it's so funny to imagine. I pray they won't do anything like that, but God, would it be genuinely hilarious and also ruin the episode at the same time?
Uh, I'm looking forward to so many things, but I'm actively dreading that one thing.
I think I said before, I would rather Bowser become Fury Bowser protecting Bowser Jr. and succeeding at that instead of Bowser Jr. dying.
Yeah. So.
Oh god, I'm just imagining like
Big
when Super Saiyan
makes his
Goku
appearance.
shows up and he's like, Gohan, leave. This is mine. And just Bowser doing that as Fury Bowser.
Junior, get back. Daddy's busy.
That will go so much harder than him getting angry because his son died.
Dude, it's not even like his son dying. Like, he breaks the clown car. Or he just makes Junior cry, and that's it. That's what makes him snap.
Ooh, the rage of
Could you imagine, like, could you imagine it's all fun and games, but then as soon as, like, Bowser Jr. starts deflating up, he just grabs Eggman by the throat. You made Junior cry.
What if Eggman, right, became God Eggman, and he, like, grabbed Bowser by the throat and flew him up to the sun, and then Bowser was like, I will not let you take me away from my sons, and then just, like, turned into a Super Saiyan, and then, like, did a bunch of hits on Eggman that did absolutely nothing, and then Eggman just kind of punched him and he died anyway.
You know, he was gonna be like, alright, that's cool, check out this, and he pulls out the Eclipse.
Yeah. Here, watch this. And then just Bowser just dies. Insta-death. If you guys don't get it, that was a reference to both Omni-Man vs. Bardock, a battle between dads, like this one, and also Eggman vs. Griffith, the greatest matchup of the 21st century.
Donkey Kong.
Okay, so we covered size manipulation, the Fury form.
Yeah, we covered that
ability to
alright.
change his
We brought it up
appearance.
in jokes. But yes, there is a Bowser form that's just really big and angry, and that's pretty much all it is, to be honest.
Transmutation, which is covered by Kamek for the most part.
He can also
And then-
suddenly, through space and time, appear.
Through really bad writing.
Literally completely unexplained, no foreshadowing, objectively out of nowhere, just because they needed a final boss.
Warping through space and time, Bowser appears. That is the only context that we are given. And then we see that Mario does the same thing, again with no context. I guess they're just built like that. It comes with the Star Child insurance.
Yeah, being a Star Child means you're inbuilt with a Chaos Emerald.
And that's like the major bullet points for Bowser. I know that a lot of people are going to bring up stuff like Dreamy Bowser, which is a form where he like consumes the power of dreams, I think.
Yeah,
It's like each dream is a universe.
it
They talk about this.
it could show up in the
a lot.
episode. I really don't care, to be honest.
I guess we'll just put a pin on that, say that's the high end, because that's like the only multiversal argument. Other than that, there is universal through the sense of in Mario Galaxy, each world is like a cluster of galaxies. So I guess in their entirety, you could say it's like a universe spanning black hole. It's a safe assumption to make that Bowser survives it. And then Rosalina resets everything. He's comparable to Rosalina, who let's be real, had tons of prep to do that. And yeah, Universal is sorry. Universal is most likely fine.
You
I
can
do
you
not
can
have any qualms with that.
you can argue multi with
And
the whole like
multiversal
dream
argument.
nonsense, which also applies to Sonic, so that's lovely.
Yeah, multiversal like has the arguments. I will acknowledge that they exist and go about my day. Bowser is also capable of using some power ups, but I don't think any would be all that
You can turn
standard to
into a
him,
cat.
except Mario Party. Like if Eggman lands on a Bowser space, I think that's kind of fucked. But I like how in the preview the Bowser space joke they make is Boomstick losing coins, of all things. Bro, some people lost their lives on that thing.
Yeah. There's there's other parts of his army, but like does Greg the Thwomp really
The
matter?
fish. Oh no, Eggman walked under the swamp. He is dead.
They have given him King Boo for some reason. I'm still not really
But we'll
okay
talk
with
about
that.
King Boo when we get there. King Boo is like the one thing everyone keeps talking about, and we will get there.
I don't think it's a huge deal. It's just like, why is he there?
So many people are talking about King Boo. Like he is the crucifix of the argument for a lot of things.
Oh god.
So much so that he probably could have just been his own thing.
Yeah, we're gonna get the epic final
So
battle of the Time Eater versus King Boo.
okay, so Eggman. Egg with a plan. Egg with lots of family trauma, it seems, but that's all lore stuff.
Just
and
a
not
bloke
versus
who is
stuff, so
shaped
cares about
vaguely
it, right?
like an egg. And thus everyone decided to discriminate him and call him Eggman because of that, and he decided to accept that and become the Eggman.
Yeah, and then now he's called Bally McNosehair, and I think he's just gonna end it all.
Yeah.
So his army,
Is robots.
a lot, a lot of his lower end robots also have really basic thing, the incapability of teaming up. They just kind of do whatever they can to the environment. But he also has caterpillars, and those things are fucking bastards. Um, you also got the hard-boiled heavies, which I guess is the closest Eggman has to the Koopa Lanes.
I
even
completely
though,
fucking
let's be
forgot they
real, they're gonna
existed.
get their shit rocked by those things.
Just put all like the Sonic clones that he's made against them. Mecha Sonic, Mecha Sonic, Mecha
Right.
Sonic, Silver Sonic, Metal Sonic, Mecha Knuckles, who's not a Sonic,
Or
but
maybe not. Maybe not Metal Sonic.
okay, maybe not Metal
He's
Sonic.
special.
He's the good boy. He better turn into Metal Sonic Kai. That I don't know why. I think that'd be really funny.
I can't wait for Mecha Sonic to be in the animation and get like a cooler line and then die.
They're gonna actually just take a clip from Cooler from Dragon Ball Fighters, and then he's just gonna die immediately after dropping it.
18 beams I see gets vaporized.
They're just gonna have him say monkey and then get killed.
Gen Z is trying to cancel Mecha Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, after that you got Sage, and I'll have a lot to say about Sage in a bit when we start comparing.
I think it's crazy that people
But
actually thought that Sage might not be in the episode because she wasn't in that little animation preview. As if, like, why wouldn't she be?
she's not a show off.
He literally built
There
her.
is one character. There is one character that many people are pretty confident in showing up. Um, it's about as safe as using King Boo, which they're clearly doing. So a lot of people are speculating Infinite. I'm not sure what he's going to offer, but I am more than
He's
welcome
not.
to see him try.
He's not gonna offer shit.
It'd be so funny. I'm not weak. I'm not weak, and he gets hit by a green shell.
Nah, he's the one that Torpedo Ted takes out.
I'm infinite. I'm number one. What's that in this guy? Oh shit.
So someone ought to draw that. Do the Kaba versus Gogeta thing, but instead it's Torpedo Ted versus Infinite with the Phantom Ruby.
Oh boy, the Phantom Ruby. We get to talk about that, don't we?
Does Bowser have access to the Wonder Flower? I've not actually played Wonder.
He becomes the Wonder Flower.
Well, I'm glad you didn't bring that up then.
Yeah, no, the Wonder Flower is kind of insane. I probably should have. We'll get to comparisons later.
Right.
Then Eggman has a hypothetical super form that's only appeared in art on Tails Tube, but people are trying to take that seriously for some reason. Sonic Prime is canon for whatever reason, and that gives him a form
Anyways.
when he's harnessing the power of the Shadowverse crystals.
I got like 30% less
And of
interested
course you
after
have,
you
like-
said Sonic Prime.
And then, of course, you got the machines powered by Chaos Emeralds, drain them of their power entirely, or use them to wipe out galaxy clusters just to impress Emerald.
Wait.
Yeah,
That-
in Sonic Battle, he just kind of wipes out entire galaxies.
No.
just
I
because he
remember that.
can.
I'm just wondering, will they give him Gemerl, like the one from Advance 3, the black version of Emerald?
No.
I know
think
that
it's
he turns
established that he's basic.
He turns against Eggman, but like, I'm just asking. Pre-reprogramming Gemerl. I know
think
it's probably
Gemerl
Gemerl, but
offers
I
enough
really
that
don't care.
justifies it. You know, he doesn't offer enough to justify his inclusion.
He looks
Like-
cool.
He looks fucking awesome. But I don't think that's enough.
He is the ultimate fighting robot, I think he's called. He's a Gizoid, which means something.
Don't say ultimate around Metal Sonic, you're gonna piss him off.
Okay, but Gemerl would kick the shit out of Metal Sonic. I'm just gonna say it. Not for
That's
any
not
like
the argument.
not for any actual scaling reasons, but just because that is Metal Sonic's lot in life.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about that when we get there too. Any other major bullet points before we start?
Time Eater.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
Of like his other mechs that you could like argue universal stuff with, like, well, there was like the Egg Wizard. Or even any of his mechs, none of them really matter, because give him the Time Eater. Obviously, he's using the Ed Dragoon in the fight. There's a non-zero chance that something might happen that'll make him have to use the Death Egg robot. There is the Death Egg itself, which is big pew-pew laser, blow stuff up. All that. But then, like, it just kind of all fades away in the face of the relevancy of the Time Eater. Which is a big flying
I love
space
how people
thing.
just not feel comfortable using the Time Eater for the longest time, with no real justification other than it's the Time Eater.
I think there was stuff like it turned on Eggman or something, or Eggman didn't create it. But the thing is that I feel like in the context of the way Death Battle have been advertising this fight, I mean, King Boo's on Bowser's side.
Alright, so I could debunk both of those, by the way.
I disagree with you.
Sonic, okay, it never betrayed Eggman. Sonic just destroyed it. When Eggman did create it, he just used the force of a primordial entity to power it up.
Well, see, he didn't create that primordial
What-
entity.
He did not create the primordial entity. He just found it in space one day.
Exactly. But regardless of what arguments exist there, the Time Meter, for the parameters set up in this episode, I think it will be and should be used. And the only reason not to would be to arbitrarily tell Eggman to go fuck himself.
again, King Boo's here, so
Yeah, I mean Eggman does have powerful machines, but the only ones that I think actually could, don't just get kind of shredded up by Supersonic is it. I mean, it's the Time Eater that actually put up a fight. Unlike pretty much any of Eggman's other things, which Supersonic kind of just ate through.
imagine Bowser getting ready to finish the fight, but then he hears it looks like a homing shot.
Imagine Bowser about to finish the fight, and then suddenly a text box says up that says "Warping through space and time." The Time Eater appears.
Okay, and this is nowhere near as impressive, but I thought it'd be worth mentioning. In the IDW comics, Eggman has tested other technology, which would go pretty in tandem with Sage, where it can trap its victims in an alternate digital dimension, parallel to our own, where they can be physical, but I mean, like, they're visible, but they can't interact with anything. And it took basically a whole lot of group efforts to take it down, while it was still in the testing phase, mind you. Eggman's intention was to basically kill anyone who got trapped in it, scattering their atoms into oblivion, by his own words. But trapping them in a digital dimension is still good. That's viable.
Yeah, unless Bowser warps through
It's
space
just,
and time to leave.
alright, so, I think we've covered the bases. If we forgot stuff, it'll come up later.
All right,
Or
it's probably
people
not
in the comments
important,
will
but
let us.
Sage probably will have at least a Titan. It won't really matter, but it's there. She'll probably have like Supreme or something, but it really doesn't matter. They're not strong enough to matter.
I mean, like, they can fuck up Supersonic, like, current Supersonic.
I wouldn't say they fuck him up. They put up something of a fight, but they do end up just folding in the end. Especially Supreme. That's not a boss fight. That's nothing.
Alright, so, obviously it's not canon, but these are the only things that can directly kill Supersonic without having his rain count just run out. Like, if you fail quick time events, he dies. That is very significant, I think.
Okay, but Knuckles also can just punch Supersonic to death. Let's not forget that. Base Knuckles just punch the emeralds out of him and then punch Sonic in the face and he dies. What a shit way to get the emeralds out of Sonic, though.
Hey Sonic, you ever heard of Wally West? Wally who?
Just imagine they bring that up in like a future game. Like Eggman gets the emeralds and becomes Super Eggman, and Sonic's like, "Hey Knuckles, why don't you just punch the emeralds out of him?"
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess I could do that. Yeah. So he just does it, and then that's the whole boss.
No way! I can't believe this!
And then they kill him. He is very Mario coded, yeah. I think that's like that's the thing. And like obviously mostly everyone already accepts like Universal Supersonic as a baseline. And like like Eggman's strongest stuff would scale.
And then you get to Solaris.
Fuck
Everyone's
Solaris.
favorite. Everyone loves Solaris.
You're literally yawning as you say that. So when it comes to the comparison, obviously you can bring up the stat thing.
Alright, I wanna take this like to the least significant to the most significant. Just to force people to watch to the end. Fuck you guys. Alright, so experience. I think this goes for the armies and the characters as a whole. Most of Eggman's robots are like hours or days old. They were just made, produced in the factory. Because if they've been in the field for like a day, they're gone. Dunzo. I imagine there has to be like some kind of sign up process for Bowser's army. None of those it was like soldiers are children except for the elites, which I think says a lot about the political system of Bowser's Kingdom, but we're not going to get into that. Um,
There's actually pretty genius socio-political commentary on nepotism and how it always results in the collapse of societies. Good job, Mario.
what middle class?
Yeah, you didn't bring up any middle-class troops. You just went from lower class to upper class.
I guess the closest one that counts as a middle class is like a blooper because they get moved diagonally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but generally speaking, I think Bowser's soldiers have more experience actually experiencing life. I'm not sure if that's combat experience, but they're probably more accustomed to know what that is. Eggman robots are born with a gun in their hands and the program to kill, but they haven't been out in the field to do that. But the higher in rank you go, the bigger the stats and the experience that starts to lean Eggman. Because I don't know how to tell you this, but the Koopalings are children. They've been they've been getting their ass beat a lot of the time. They don't know how to fight, but they sure know how to lose and drive cars. Bowser Jr. is the relatively better spot because he has his own magic. He can shapeshift. He has that magic paintbrush, which creates alternate dimensions or is like acts as a vessel to them. That's also kind of weird. But then Sage is also just a child, but Metal Sonic's been around for a while, since the classic days.
He's really not improved much, though.
But that's going to be more significant once we talk about Bowser and Eggman themselves. So Bowser was a baby when Mario was a baby, and canonically, Mario is 24 years old. I'm about to be older than Mario next month. Oh my god. I didn't really absorb that knowledge until I said it. Fuck, man. Eggman, it is very likely to be in his 40s. Because over 50 years ago, Eggman's father graduated from college. And there is no way he didn't go to the Bone Zone sometime either before or after that. So it's safe to say that Eggman is very close to his 50s. And he's still beefing with children. In the IDW comics, which take place prior to Frontiers, there is a special about Sonic saving the world for the 900th time. So, Sonic has not been around for nearly as long, but he has done so much more stuff just by the fact that he saved the world over 900 times. So I think Eggman as a whole takes over experience just for the gap between him and Bowser, because I don't think Bowser is able to do that much as a 24-year-old.
But then, if we really think about this, it is a lot of experience losing as opposed to experience winning. So whoever wins this category has more experience in failure.
Not necessarily, because Eggman has successfully taken over the world and
then lost.
And IDW is about them slowly getting it back, but Eggman basically takes all the big victories and stuff.
And then he loses anyway.
Sonic has to build off of little victories.
One victory to 899 isn't exactly the best record.
But it's better than Bowser's.
True, but still mostly failure.
Anyway, strategy. I guess this goes hand in hand in experience. Bowser Jr. has shown himself to be a competent general through the Mario and Luigi add-ons. Bowser himself, not so much. He keeps telling all the Goombas to kill themselves.
Maybe he's just an asshole.
Funniest mental image. You know that one image of like the little baseball boy and the giant empire screaming his fucking lungs out? That's what I'm picturing right now.
What if he's just discriminatory towards Goombas? Have you ever just considered that?
It would be discriminatory towards his own kind because that's the same for Koopas.
Yeah, well,
Green-shelled Koopas.
it's actually a
Green-shelled Koopas
commentary
are
on
that,
how
and
when you
Bowser's
discriminate against others, those close to you will be fucked up. Don't do it. Everyone
discrimination hurts
loses.
everyone.
Exactly. Brilliant commentary.
Um,
Again, Mario with the deep themes.
higher-ups, obviously, they can act on their own accord. They do have some kind of team strategy going on sometimes, but for the most part, they all have their own gimmick, so to speak. So they're gonna rely on that.
To be fair, one could hardly say that
Bowser,
Eggman's best troops exactly work together.
their strategy is to basically work in numbers, which is funny because Eggman fucking eclipsed. This gets fucking eclipsed in numbers.
I mean, honestly, I think Bowser's army also, for the most part, is kind of just swarm.
Yeah, they both have that same approach. It's just that Bowser spreads them out more. But because of the sheer quantity, I don't think Eggman's really gonna get an in that kind of scenario.
But if you compare like their you can hardly say the Koopalings really work together that much. They have, but it's not common. But you could also barely say that any of Eggman's best units work together. Like, when have you ever seen Metal Sonic and the various other Mecha Sonics and Silver Sonic come together to team up? If any, Metal Sonic doesn't always team up with Eggman.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
Obviously, for
But
this battle, I do think it will be loyal to Eggman Metal Sonic. I don't think they're going to cop out and go, well, Metal Sonic doesn't really matter because he'll just betray Eggman anyway.
which is something that he programmed out of Metal Sonic and IDW comics, by the way.
Good. Just get that Eggman out of here.
Um, so with that out of the way, Eggman's robots are usually far more versatile in what they do. They're one-trick ponies, but they're damn good tricks. Like one fucks with the weather, one just kind of controls the water, or spins everyone around like a blender. One chops down trees. Basically, they all have these different strategies that don't exactly go together, but they don't go against each other as well. Meanwhile, Bowser's troops have shown that they can't really get along unless they have a general to coordinate them.
They kind of
Which
just
they
walk in a
definitely
straight
did in this
line.
fight. Bowser Jr. is good at commanding minions. Bowser's not good at commanding much of anything. If his strategy is to just jump at someone on a very fragile bridge.
His strategy is to just build a floor out of the one material that he can destroy by jumping on it, and then spend the entire fight butt bombing Mario.
Eggman's openings, I don't think are as laughably bad. It's just kind of overestimating the durability of his metal, which in his defense, a hedgehog breaking through metal is kind of fucking absurd.
Yeah, I mean, to
But
be
it's not
fair,
like Eggman's active.
a lot of the time when Sonic beats Eggman, it's just he smashes into Eggman's machine enough that it dies. Bowser, there are times when Mario just kind of, hand to hand beats the shit out of him, but there's plenty of times where it's just Bowser does the stupidest thing possible, so Mario just kind of exploits that and gets on with his life.
Yeah, I don't think Eggman is nearly as exploitable.
That said, Bowser's strategy of just run in and hit as hard as you can, that does tend to work against Eggman.
But then we get to the next part of the strategies. Eggman could always just run like a little bitch and have duplicates take the fall for him. He does like having little doohickeys and gadgets, like little dummies and Sonic Heroes. Having Metal Sonic take his place in terms of shapeshifting, also in Sonic Heroes. He could just have little dummies, give Bowser that false sense of confidence. Oh, he's dead. and then the real Eggman shows up. Or just pilot mechs more remotely, because some robots operate like that. They work independently. They can be their own boss. The hard-boiled heavies are like that.
Hmm.
The big mechs require Eggman. But unlike Bowser, he can just kind of be on the sidelines and let his toys do the work for him.
Hmm.
And I guess we can talk about the fallen armies now, and if you were to just judge the armies, who would win from there? So, anything technological, Sage gets rid of. I don't really think Bowser has an Eggman to any technology being hacked because he doesn't have much in the way of technology.
No, half his ships are made of wood.
He is Amish.
He is a turtle.
He is an Amish turtle.
He's a big fan of
In
that one
fact,
Weird
most
Al
of the
song.
machinery. Yeah, I would seen it, but I want you to stay monetized. Most of Bowser Jr.'s arsenal, I would say, is mechanical. You got the Mecha Koopas, you got the clown car. So most of the technology is going to be riding on him, and Sage is just going to say no. And that's going to make him cry.
There better be a
and
great
Bowser's
scene of
gonna be like,
Sage,
"You need to
Sage going into the clown car and making it punch Bowser Jr. in the face. I mean, to be fair,
It's
Bowser
very
does have his own clown car, just doesn't really use it much.
Yeah, we saw how well it did against Ganon.
We saw how well it does against Mario. He would win if he didn't just keep throwing Mecha Koopas out there.
And now we get to talk about King Boo. So the main thing
Yay.
about King Boo is that many people think that he's near the top of the Mario food chain, just in general in terms of stats, and his ability to trap people in paintings is pretty effective. So here is my thing.
Oh boy.
I agree that against most opponents, the painting just kind of trapping them in there, that's probably going to keep them stuck. But that technology I was talking about, where you could transport yourself to an alternate, or get transported to an alternate cyberverse dimension, pair that with Sage, who can control that dimension, and Eggman's own technology. I could see Eggman using that on himself to transport himself out of the painting and back into the fight. I think that is a viable strategy.
What
when
if
you
King
combine
Boo
that
puts him
technology
into
with
a
Sage.
painting of the eclipse?
It gets a load of this.
Bowser with the turnaround, with the turnabout.
Another thing about King Boo is that he's also very tunnel visioned. Or either that or he just really fucking hates Luigi.
Yeah, I think he just really fucking hates Luigi, mate. Could be both, but he just really fucking hates Luigi.
Yeah, King Boo is like the one that people say is the big contender here. And if it's because of the paintings, I think Eggman has an answer for that. And Boos have an explicit weakness to light. This is not something I see brought up all that often to counter this. But Boos being weak to light, evaporating in the light, is shown fairly often. And I would imagine the same would apply to King Boo, since he is in fact Boo. And Eggman, he definitely has a lot of ways to do a light show. Mind you, the entire amusement park. That's very bright. Or, flashbangs, grenades. Just bombs in general would be pretty effective.
Wait, if Eggman, if they said Eggman's gonna have access to everything he's ever had, right? Does that mean he'd get access to wisps? Not that they'd help, but
He did create his own brand of mutated wisps, which are basically sentient black holes. That's what
Yeah.
Frenzy and Void are.
So, would he
I would
just
say
use
they're
that?
reliable to use, and he also has like
I mean, okay, to be fair,
wisps that
black
he can
holes
use.
historically do not work on Bowser very well.
They keep him contained.
Yeah, you just leave. Can he use
All
like
right.
the super evil Mother Wisp from the DS game, like the secret boss?
No, I think he tried to brainwash it, but lost control. It was
Yeah,
never really under his possession.
he made her though. Like he made that form of her. He just throws that at Bowser, and then Bowser kind of just blows her up, I guess.
But you know who he can't blow up? Infinite.
No, but he could just like slap him.
Infinite being here is funny. I guess we could talk about the Phantom Ruby. The Phantom Ruby being able to basically warp so many different aspects of reality might be one of the most slept on things here.
I mean, I think the big comparison is Phantom Ruby versus Wonderflower.
Yeah. And the Wonder Flower is very unpredictable. When Mario and the game used it, they can't really predict what happens. Bowser, I think, has a better understanding of how it works, I want to say.
That's
But,
fucking tragic.
yes. Uh, I would say that the Phantom Ruby and the Wonder Flower cancel each other out. Bowser
That's
fans
about
hype
fair.
this up as the ultimate tool that Bowser has. But the Phantom Ruby basically does the same thing, and Eggman has way better control of it. Like, classic Sonic used to be from the past, but now he's from a different dimension. Isn't that, like, kind of fucked?
Clearly, that's because of the Phantom Ruby, and that's Eggman's doing.
Yeah. Very, very powerful.
Does the new generation's re-release actually address that, or does it just like literally keep the story exactly as it was and not address the retcon?
It addressed the retcon by accident because in the game manual it said that it was a Sonic from a different dimension. One of the translators caught that and went, "Oh shit, we gotta fix that."
Oop!
Like very verbally. That's not intended at all. We need to fix that now.
Fucking phenomenal. Someone gets the Obi-Wan clip of him saying,
Um,
"Good job."
so they're retconning the retcon, but the point stands that the Phantom Ruby and the Wonder Flower serve the same purpose. And I would say that Eggman has way better control and experience with the Phantom Ruby. I think that is a very safe assumption to make.
Yeah, I think it's just fair to say they cancel each other out and focus on anything else.
All right, let's go to abilities now. You got transmutation on both of their ends. The traps scatter atoms. That still very much happens. It doesn't erase them like intended, but it still traps them in a completely different dimension on an atomic level. And the transmutation bit is very explicit. And I imagine Eggman might have an answer to it, but I cannot say that without proper evidence. So we're gonna say that that is a potential win con for Bowser, and then focus on other abilities. Um, Size manipulation, it would definitely make Bowser bigger and better.
And
Eggman
a bigger
has
target for that
massive.
entire fleet.
Mm-hmm. Eggman has like a lot of big machines, a lot of small ones. Does size really matter? Is that the question for the guys in the chat tonight?
I think it does matter to make Bowser an easier target.
Um, Bowser warping through space and time is pretty cool. Except the time eater literally eats those spaces and time. And when he does that, they no longer exist until they are restored. So the time eater eats the time, where is Bowser going to warp to?
Space.
And it's not like And it's not like, oh, Eggman would have to know what to do when to eat that specific space of time. But he was able to fuck up Crisis City, a place that he should not even know existed. So the
Because
Time Eater definitely knows stuff that
because Sonic
Eggman
famously
doesn't.
abides to the ending of '06.
Very famous for it. That
Just like
time they
how it
killed Blaze.
just like how it famously conforms to the lore of Sonic Adventure 2.
Mm-hmm. And how they definitely didn't show off the moon being normal when it became part robot.
Yeah. What a good franchise with such strong continuity. Sonic Prime is my favorite.
I'm not turning this into a Sonic Roast session, I'm sorry.
Okay. Wasn't planning to, I was just making
Uh,
fun of a few things.
I'm shutting that down with my awesome mind powers.
I've also made fun of Mario during this, so it's not one-sided here.
You know what? I do appreciate that. Keeps landing. Let it be known that I am also a fan of both. Bowser is my guy. Unless it's Mario Party, then he can go die. But anyway, ability wise, I think both of them have valid win cons against the other and counters to each other. I think Eggman beats out Bowser's ability to warp through space and time with the Time Eater.
I imagine, generally, Bowser himself is probably harder to kill than Eggman himself.
Yeah, you could say the whole one-up argument, even though Bowser doesn't have the
That is
gloves to store
not
that
what I.
in.
That is not what I was referring to. I just meant that in general,
Well, that's what.
Bowser. You take away all of their equipment, Bowser is definitely going to be harder to kill than Eggman.
Yep, that is a very fair assessment. Um, I do think Eggman is capable though. Because now we're gonna get into stats. Everyone's favorite. Um, from what I have heard, there are quad C arguments in the Mario franchise. I do not know where they came from. But I'm gonna make a gut guess and say it's from Dream Team. Very safe assumption. And let's say quadrillion C. It is probably in the lower range of quadrillion, and that's cool. I'm fine with that. And then power universe, I think universal is fairly much established, and I'll be fine with using it. And I can acknowledge the multiversal arguments if you wish to present them. And by you, I mean a hypothetical you, people in the comments.
I mean, I did in Luigi
As for
versus
Sonic,
FNAF, because I figured the multi arguments are about as strong as the uni arguments for FNAF World.
that's safe. Um, Eggman, I'm fine with putting at Uni Plus as a low end because of the Sonic Prime, not Prime, Sonic Rush, the duology, and how the Egg Wizard was a threat to both universes and it had the power to merge them entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Ignore that its final attack was a Planet Buster by name, because that's just writers not knowing what power scaling is.
I mean, I think that's just right as being stupid. They specifically wrote something as a universe scale threat, and then the big attack is a planet bust. That's not even misunderstanding power scaling. That's just being stupid.
Funny.
I think as a writer, if you write something as a universal threat, you should be expected to know what you're writing. That's not a versus thing. That's just universal threats just exist in fiction. We didn't make that up. That's not on us.
Okay. Um, But if we want to go to Sonic's high end, Isolaris.
What a loser.
So, so the ability to erase every timeline. What does that mean for Sonic? Well, I think it's safe to do the one thing. I think alternate timelines very much do exist in Sonic. You have the route and Shadow the Hedgehog as a frame of reference. And if we want to say all those timelines did happen, or the trailers have the potential to, and takes Solaris' statement to erase all timelines, and that puts it like 360 something, because that's how many different routes that you could do for Shadow at any given time. So, Universal times 360 something. I pretty sure that falls under the multiversal range. And apparently Sonic Dream Team has something multiversal. Then you got Sonic Shuffle. Multiversal Sonic is something that I'm fairly confident in establishing. How high into multiversal, I do not know, but I am fairly sold on it. And if you think this has to contend with Sonic Super Forms, Eggman has a lot of robots that can do that, and like I mentioned, the Titans and Frontiers are shown explicitly to have the capability to kill super forms outright without having to rely on their range running out. Like, even showing that they have the capability to do that, I think is really noteworthy and should be brought up more often than it actually is. And Eggman's gonna have the Chaos Emeralds for himself, in case you have any doubts for the scaling, because he's a Sonic character. Sonic characters always get the Chaos Emeralds. It comes with the fucking death battle.
Yeah, regardless of if it's standard or not, they'll get it.
Being Boo is here. Being standard does not matter.
Yes, but even if this was just a regular one-on-one fight, they'd still give him them.
Yeah. So I think at their best, Eggman is way stronger, but I don't think I've heard much in speed arguments for Sonic lately. Beyond the trillion stuff, I imagine that there is updated stuff, and feel free to bring that up. But currently, I'm fine giving Eggman the power advantage and Bowser the speed. So, right now, the win con in my head, Bowser has the transmutation. The higher ups are way more. The lower ranked uh, armies can be way more coordinated, and Bowser is just generally harder to kill. Eggman is way smarter. I think it's really easy for him to take advantage of the battlefield. Hold Bowser Jr. hostage. He can do something to make either Bowser so angry that he's able to leave an opening, like he does all the goddamn time,
Mm-hmm.
or make Bowser hesitate and find an opening through that way. Because Eggman is very underhanded. He will do stuff to put himself in an advantage, in some kind of advantageous position, in the most underhanded way possible. I said this in a Twitter thread, where if you were to boil this down to bare characteristics, Eggman will go for weaknesses that Bowser can't really answer for. As in, like, he would target Bowser Jr., he would target the Koopalings, not kill them, but put them explicitly in danger to put Bowser in danger. He's a fucking douchebag, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that's going to help him get an opening on Bowser that could be very crucial. On his feet, he can outrun Sonic for brief periods of time, so who knows? Maybe if he gets out of the mech and Bowser tries to chase him, Eggman will be like, oh shit, and then he just runs.
Yeah, that is a pretty common Eggman line.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he said that the first time Sonic became Supersonic. Go play Sonic 2. You'll find it's untrue.
Yeah, hilltop zone. He's like, all right, Sonic, I'm gonna throw fire at you. Oh shit.
Yeah, it's one of the most shocking scenes in 16-bit history.
Yeah, specifically the Genesis version. You're not gonna find it on Game Gear. You're just gonna find the Dead Tails.
Yeah, there is no Supersonic. It was actually a psyop, and they made it up.
Yeah, actually Super Saiyan this whole time. The Dragon Ball fans are right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Bowser just has more brute force on his side. That can very easily intimidate Eggman. Eggman can easily manipulate Bowser into some kind of advantageous position.
But then you have to ask the question, where do you think Death Battle will put them? And I can't help but shake the I can't shake the feeling that they're going to say that they're relatively even in physical stats, in just raw power.
I think they're gonna say, "Oh, Eggman never stood a chance outside of the mechs. He would need the machines to even go even. And it would have to
Yeah,
be the best of the best."
it's a completely pointless thing to bring up because it's obvious, but I do think they will say that. They'll go out of their way to say, "Oh yeah, obviously, dumbass, Eggman, no equipment, is not going to beat Bowser in a fist fight."
He can fucking punt Bowser Jr. in the Olympics.
That is true. What did they use the fucking Olympic Games to say they scale to each other?
That would be so funny because that just means that Bowser literally has no options to win now.
You could just transmute Eggman into a pineapple.
But what if Eggman just kind of traps him into cyberspace? He can't warp
He warps
through
through
any
space and time
pivotal
to
space
leave.
and time because Time Eater just ate that time.
He warps through space.
All right, and now he's out of the fight completely
Oh, he just
because
warps
he's in
back.
space.
You know, space doesn't literally mean outer space. It means physical. The concept of a physical location, geometrically.
Tell this to Bowser. He is stuck in space.
I think he'd just warp out. He'd just warp back to wherever Eggman is and go, "Yeah, what was that? Don't do that. I didn't like that. That was fucking rude."
Oh, if you don't like that, I'm just gonna do it again.
That's the whole fight. It's just that back and forth.
And one of them's gonna get bored.
Actually, though, I think
Eventually.
Eggman would fucking slaughter if they said that they scaled to each other through Olympics, because that would mean that Bowser and Eggman out of the mech are equal in power, and thus Eggman's mechs that are significantly stronger than he himself would just clean up Bowser. So they're not going to do that. Because if they did that, then Eggman would just outright win. He would just beat the shit out of Bowser. Because he would have mechs that are way stronger than his physical body that is equal to Bowser. So that's not an argument that reasonably could be used to make them equal.
Yeah, no. I do not think, I guess
Yeah, I
besides
know.
King Boo, if you want to stretch it, there is any real answer to Sage. I think the Titans are way stronger than anything Bowser can really effectively do. Like, throw in Squid, and I think most of Bowser's army is just gone because it's Squid.
But
Like,
then
they'd rather do a
again,
big wind-up-
you'd have to go with believing Death Battle will give Eggman an outright power advantage. Because I can see them going, Universal's fine for both. Both can arguably scale to like countless parallel worlds with like Dream stuff, with
I think if
Paper
they put
Mario
each other-
and like versus more Dream stuff and Solaris, and like they're just going to put that in a corner box when it should be addressed verbally. They're going to put it in a corner box and say that this is a thing, but we're just going to ignore that because it cancels it out. Or maybe they'll just say Eggman would have the advantage if this was used. If Eggman wins, they will put in the corner box. Power is relatively equal. You could go this route, but Eggman would end up having the advantage if you did that. That's another thing they could do. That's something they have done. I think with like Bill versus Discord, where they're like kind of positive the idea that they're similar in power, and then the corner box goes, but anyway, really, Bill's way stronger. That's something they could do with Bowser Eggman if Eggman wins.
I'm predicting Bowser will win the episode literally after everything I said. Mostly because the community for years on end has chosen Bowser as the consensus, and the arguments for him at least appeared to be like really tight because Bowser was faster for a while, and his troops generally were way more coordinated and bigger in number. What I think it's gonna come down to in the episode, they're gonna try and say this is like down to the fine details, and that Eggman's resources are way more limited.
I
Like
guess,
once those robots are gone, they're gone.
yeah, there is the argument there that if their arsenals and equipment they say cancel out and it comes down to just them on their own, that Bowser doesn't need all of this shit to be incredibly powerful. Eggman does. They could just go with that argument and say Bowser wins because if they just cancel each other out enough, then you've got a really superpowered turtle and an old man who can run.
I think they could say that one of Eggman's biggest advantages is Metal Sonic, which would be really funny when his entire thing has been being put in Fraud Watch lately.
Yeah, Metal Sonic,
Where he can.
I felt so validated with just the scene of knowing that Base Shadow can kick the crap out of Metal Sonic because I'd gone so long, not even as like someone who's strictly power scale Sonic, just someone who has a tertiary knowledge, going, can you show me any evidence that Metal Sonic scales to Super Sonic of today? And it's always that argument of like, oh, he does because he does. And then like, thank you, modern Sonic game, for saying no, he just does
I
not.
can give you. I can give you one shred of evidence, and it actually comes from the same game. So most of the game was rewritten. But there was one thing that was explicitly kept the same after all this time, which is so funny to me. And that is the detail that in Metal Sonic's bio, they say that Metal Sonic is the villain that has comes the closest to actually defeating Sonic. And they kept that in. So that implies that someone who actually did beat Sonic, like Infinite, didn't get as close to fucking killing him as Metal did.
But that's still like Metal in the past did that. That's not Metal Sonic like now. It's like not Metal Sonic versus current Super Sonic. Wouldn't that be referring to like CD or Heroes, I'd imagine? Not that he got close in either.
And literally, what did Metal accomplish against Sonic and CD?
He raced him and then
Amy.
crashed into a fucking wall. And in Heroes, he became a big monster, and then Sonic picked up some rocks, became yellow, and went, hey, Knuckles, Tails, you want to go into your super forms too? Too bad, assholes. Gave them shields and then flew off. See, there would be some interesting argument if it took all three of them in their super forms to beat him, but really it just took Super Sonic plus his mates in shields.
Yeah, I think it's more easy to say that like a less experienced Supersonic and Metal are equals, but even a less experienced Supersonic took place after Shuffle, and Shuffle is where some high end Sonic arguments come from anyway.
Yeah, but I'm
So it
pretty
doesn't
sure
really
Shuffle's
matter.
arguments are not like the stuff in Shuffle's that powerful, more that what Shuffle sets up for the cosmology if it's considered canon, and thus how powerful Solaris would be being able to affect all that, and thus Supersonic would downscale from Solaris because he was one of the three that it took to beat Solaris, and like downscaling from Infinity would still be Infinity, like that kind of argument is the common like multi-plus Sonic bullshit. I say bullshit because like
All right.
it's a bunch of word
Okay,
salad,
so
not because I
let's.
think it's objectively wrong or anything, mind you. It's not
All right,
me
then
saying
let
it's
me
bullshit
take
because
this
it's
to a
wrong.
different angle. Um, Eggman blowing up a whole bunch of galaxy clusters with his cannon and Sonic battle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After the fact, Metal is stated to be like one of Eggman's strongest creations.
One
So if
of.
we take that assumption, yes,
That
I
means
would
there
imagine
is
he's
stronger.
stronger than the fucking fuck off galaxy cluster cannon that Eggman made. Not even with the goal to destroy those galaxies, but just to impress Emerald.
But even that is that's still not as strong as Supersonic.
Yes, it's not as strong, but I'm saying basically, Metal could solo Bowser's army. Because it's like if he makes physical contact with anything, he gains their abilities. What if he touches Kamek?
I don't think he knows how to use magic.
He doesn't need to know. Like, if he touches someone, he gains their abilities. He touched Amy, and then he made the hammer.
Okay, what if
Just
Kamek
made
just
it.
turns him into a regular Cooper after that?
Or he's a regular Koopa with chaos control.
Except he wouldn't have that power, because now he would just have the powers of a regular Cooper.
Ignored. Chaos control.
Can't do that. Chaos control this magic turning you into a fucking Cooper.
I like how we agree on who wins, but when I try to throw Metal Sonic into the argument, you're just gonna be like, I want to change sides actually.
No, like I'm not. I don't really have a side here. I get the argument for Eggman. I do. I also get the argument for Bowser. I wouldn't say I'm like well versed enough to have a proper like side. But I do think there's a very good chance Bowser will win the episode, just because the way Death Battle tends to work. I can see them both universal arguments for higher in boxes. I can see speed. There's probably some claims for both, like that would get infinite speed or some bullshit like that they might use. But like, and then when it comes down to abilities, when was that IDW thing? Like, was that recent enough to be used?
All the stuff that I've talked about for IDW came from whatever was available from Read Comics Online earlier this year. And Read Comics Online doesn't really do the recent issues because that would be way more illegal than it already is.
So if we got anything from Thor and Venom, it's not going to get used at all. Actually, just Thor, because I'm realizing no, it wouldn't have counted for Venom anyway. That bullshit. It's not Venom. He's not the King in Black. That's Eddie. So they're not going to use it. That's a joke though. I think it could be used, but I feel like they could just argue Bowser can just teleport.
Given when the episodes, I'm not sure if I can say it. I just have a feeling that they would use the IDW stuff because production probably would have began around the time that this was already established.
I'd
If I were to make
imagine.
an educated guess.
I could also just get a corner thing, like they just mention it in a corner box, like Eggman can do this, Bowser can just teleport out, something like that. I think if
Yeah,
anything,
like
if they were going to give Eggman the win through anything, it would be like, and then there's the time meter, and they'll say that he can just eat the time that Bowser exists in and erase that time, and Bowser can't come back from being erased from time. That could be a thing, a genuine argument that they would give for Eggman. They could also just as easily go, it could do that, but more often than not, it would not. That's something they have done before, where a character has a win con and they go, but usually the other guy is just gonna, win. That
I
could
feel
be a
like
thing.
Time Eater hard counters Bowser just warping through space and time.
Yeah, I think it.
He's only really
See, the hard thing to say
like
about that is that it's such a nonsense statement that is never explained. And while, yes, in real life, if he time traveled, he would also need to travel through space to actually be in the location he wants to be. Otherwise, he would just show up in the middle of space because the world would have moved through the universe. But that's usually ignored in pretty much every piece of media. So it's quite reasonable to assume all he did was warp through time and not space as well. But then the claim says he warped through space as well. So like I said, you could genuinely just interpret, okay, he can't warp through time, he can still teleport. But can he? Has he done that? Maybe he's done that. There's a lot of Bowser media out there. Maybe he has just fucking teleported before. I wouldn't recall any off the top of my head, but it's possible. Can he teleport between dimensions? I don't know. Maybe. That's something Death Battle will have to say. Maybe they will find something that says, oh, Bowser can just teleport through different between dimensions, so he doesn't actually need to worry about that would just counter the IDW thing. I don't think that would counter the Time Eater erasing Bowser from time.
and I think they're gonna give it to Bowser any episode. I do think that maybe his higher end arguments are easier to explain, so maybe Bowser gets a power advantage. But also, I think they're gonna play the fine details game and say that Eggman's resources are way more limited than
Are
Bowser's,
you just saying this because the
and
previous two
that
predictions this year were wrong and you want this to be wrong and jinx Bowser's chances?
no, I've kind of just been confident that Bowser's going to win the episode, even if I disagree with that logic. Well, not
What
disagree. It's just
now?
that I
What if
think that Eggman's
they
arguments are
bring
better.
up stuff that you didn't know about?
I researched Sonic extensively this year, so it would have to be on Mario's side.
Well, yeah, that's what I was referring to. Like something that more concretely confirms multi Mario, or some kind of hacks or resistance or counter that you didn't know of that just nullifies Eggman's big advantages. Or maybe they just say, yeah,
I
Eggman's
guess.
stronger, but Bowser's faster, so he just runs up to Eggman and turns him into a rock. I guess
First of all,
there is still the question:
Bowser has not used.
if Bowser and Eggman kill each other, but the armies are still around, does that still count as a win? Like, is it just kill the other guy, or is it kill their entire army? Because if it's kill their entire army, I don't know how Bowser would kill Sage at all. Like, just in general.
I don't think he has the mental willpower to kill a little girl like that. Anyway, Culex. I guess Culex can be the thing that determines Bowser is stronger.
What?
Culex is basically like a Solaris equivalent, anyway.
I know about Kulix's existence, but what does he actually do? I've not played Mario RPG. I wanna, but I've
He's
not.
a Final Fantasy. He's a Final Fantasy villain in Sonic in the Mario game, and he says that he will consume every timeline, everything. But there's no multiple timeline shenanigans going on in Mario, so technically Solaris is still above, but they're probably going to equalize it.
I mean, yeah, but then like they could bring up that like all the timelines could just be like including all the different dreams, like because like that's the argument,
I
right? Is
I
arguing
hear
that
that
there
I
are
hear that's an
infinite
argument, but that
dreams.
doesn't. Oh wow, I had this dream, and last time I had a different one. That's a whole new timeline. But like, I get what you're saying because dreams were like a physical dimension of space in Dream Team, or at least they acted as one. But but they were created and disappeared within that game, so Culex definitely doesn't mean that.
How do you know?
How do you know he? How do you know he does? I'm
Because
gonna
Final
answer your
Fantasy
question with a
character.
question.
Well, he's not literally a Final Fantasy character. He's not from Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy
The
villains
Final
love the
Fantasy
culture.
boss theme literally plays. His theme is the Final
No, no,
Fantasy
I
4 boss
know,
theme.
but he's not literally from Final Fantasy. Like he's not an actual character. He is like a because like Square developed the game, right? I believe he is a reference to Final Fantasy, but he's not literally like he's not an actual villain from the series.
And yeah.
It would be lame
Um,
though if like they because I believe QLX brings up a location from Final Fantasy. It'd be lame if they said, well, he was gonna say he was gonna eat all time, and you know he brings up this thing from Final Fantasy, which means he's going to eat the infinite timelines contained within the infinite worlds of Final Fantasy. So thus, Bowser scales above QLX, scales above Final Fantasy. Take that, Eggman. That would be fucking lame.
and we can back this up because of that time the Moogle was in basketball hoops.
Clearly, we can back this up
Black
because of Super Smash Brothers. You see, where Bowser can fight against Final Fantasy characters, but you see, Eggman's not in the game suspiciously enough. So clearly, that just means Eggman's not strong enough.
until you bring in the Olympics.
Then you bring up the Olympics, where Eggman can have a fucking judo match with Mario and compete with him physically, and Mario regularly beats the shit out of Bowser.
The turns have now tabled.
I think the funniest
So
thing with the
TLDR,
funniest thing with Culex scaling is that people love dimensional tiering, but like Culex is explicitly like a two-dimensional thing. So like he's literally like a dimension below three
um,
dimensions, but he somehow fights the Mario cast anyway. However that works. People love dimensional tiering. Have fun with that one.
uh, you, you can't anymore. In the remake, he finally became 3-dimensional. It's
That's
actually a
cringe.
pivotal story point.
Oh, speaking of
You know,
pivotal
he
story points, we completely ignored Dreamy Bowser after mentioning it earlier. Um,
he's just kind of powered by all the dreams in a dreamy space. That's
if
like the
you
multiversal argument I keep
if
talking
you
about.
want to
That's
use
kind of shaky.
if they allow Dreamy Bowser powered by the Dreamstone, well, pieces of the Dreamstone, and the Dreamstone has like all the different like dreams in it, which is like a couple thousand universes. And I believe there's an argument for like the Z Keeper. I think there's the argument from Count Black who says something about destroying all worlds, and like I guess you could address Paper Mario probably will be used because for the longest time, including the game with Count Black, Paper Mario was not like ever considered as some kind of alternate reality. It was just as much a part of Mario, except the gameplay is now based around the idea of them being paper. There's no different to how like Mario in World is 2D, but then he becomes these 3D and 64, and how that change in art style didn't change it to be another universe. That I think that was like how it was considered. Like it is just an extra part, but in this game they happen to look like they're made of paper, and that's part of the gameplay. And it was only that one game that kind of threw a wrench in things.
It's just kind of funny to me because, like, imagine the real ass Mario turning it into a paper airplane. He folds himself with like all flesh and his bones crack and shit like that.
And then after he's like, "Wahoo!
Feels nothing.
Wahoo! I was not aboard with a pain in the receptors, unless it's lava."
Specifically from the DS.
But like, I could see them using that.
I like how this implies giant staplers, scissors, and colored pencils just existed in Mario World.
Yeah. I mean, would you be terribly surprised given the random bullshit that already exists in standard Mario?
It's not that I'm surprised, it's more so I'm mortified.
I think you could probably use the Culex thing, minimum, to argue, like, because there are multiple universes in Galaxy or Galaxy 2. You could probably argue, like, low multi just from that, and I think that'd be fine, probably, if he was going to destroy, like, if you take it as him destroying all universes, that would be a couple. It wouldn't be quite exactly what Solaris is putting out, but, like, it's notable.
Yeah, I guess I see where you're going with that. So maybe they can give Bowser. It takes a little bit of mental gymnastics, but I can see Bowser getting the power advantage in the episode through that.
I think the biggest thing about mental gymnastics is the fact that, to be fair, I think this also applies with Sonic, is that you are taking random elements completely disconnected from each other, from games that do not even think about each other at all. Now, that is pretty much also what Solaris' biggest argument is, because it takes into consideration Sonic Shuffle, which... Has that ever been referenced since Sonic Shuffle came into being? Probably somewhere.
I mean, like,
but
there's also there's also Shadow the Hedgehog with his multiple timelines. And
yeah.
Eggman also has like the direct synergy between like his traps and the Cyberverse.
Like, I imagine imagine just going through all of Mario canon, or canon, quote unquote, and you like look at how many universes that have been shown, like alternate dimensions, like the fucking shake dimension, I think is one, and like the fucking dimension like the banana takes you to in one of the Donkey Kong Country games, and just finding all like that would be kind of cool, to be honest, if they did that in the conclusion. Like they go and have like a graph of every alternate dimension that has been brought up across all Mario games and related media, and then do the exact same for Sonic, and like just compare that. That would actually be kind of like probably the only way to make the cosmology argument kind of cool, because it would show a lot of research and be kind of interesting.
This universe, that universe, these universes, whatever the fuck the special zones are.
Here you go. There's this, there's that. There's the world Rosalina comes from. I think she's from another world, if I'm not mistaken. Super Paper Mario, of course, would be a thing. Like, and then with Sonic, you have all like there's the timeline that Silver comes from is probably not the same timeline. I'm just gonna be honest. In fact, all of Sonic 06 kind of got erased and didn't actually affect anything. So I don't know how any of that works. Solaris is just a dickhead. And at least if the argument was hinged on Solaris and Culex scaling, that would be a little cool. Like, Solaris sucks, but visually I don't think it's an ugly final boss. Like, I could see that being neat, scaling them to like these really powerful cosmic beings. As hilarious as it would be to compare the final boss of one of the, for better or mostly worse, most iconic Sonic games ever, and then you compare that to some bonus boss that shows up in 2 Mario games, which are technically pretty much just the same game.
Yeah.
I think that would very much be representative of Mario and Sonic as a comparison in general. That this super-powered cosmic being in Sonic is the ultimate final boss of a big-budget game, and in Mario is just kind of something you could completely miss in a spin-off game if you didn't know it was there.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to sum it up, because, like, Bowser is in a series that doesn't take itself as seriously. And in a versus sense, that could probably mean that its higher ends are higher because they weren't written under the assumption that this is some big event. This just kind of happens sometimes.
Yeah. I think if they give them equal power and equal speed, they might just do exactly what you said, where they just say, you know, Bowser over time will still keep most of his main notable abilities. Eggman over time will lose access to them. But again, I don't know how he would kill Sage. Like, does he actually have any abilities that could kill Sage? How do you kill Sage? Because she does just survive Frontiers casually.
Taking out, the primordial being of death.
Yeah. So, is there a way for Eggman to kill her? And if he did kill every other part of Eggman's army and all that was left was Sage floating around with nothing to possess, would that count as a win for Bowser? Would they go Starscream Rainbow Dash logic?
That is incapacitation. The fight can't continue from there.
But the thing is, Sage is still alive, and she could probably still do something.
If it's not enough to really change the state of the fight, I think they're going to say that it goes to Bowser.
I guess.
Alright, so TLD are the arguments. I think that Eggman is probably stronger by the logic that I presented. They're probably going to give it to Bowser from the stuff that we discussed recently. Speed, I think, is safely Bowser right now, unless something else comes up. Eggman, I think, just generally hard counters Bowser in most of his abilities. It's just way smarter, so he can manipulate him in some shape or form. Bowser leaves himself open way too many times for me to think that Eggman can't take advantage of that.
Yeah, Bowser's an idiot. You could just put it that way, to be honest.
Eggman's army is just kind of way better than Bowser's in all places but number. Transmutation is a pretty good win con off the top of my head, but Eggman just has a lot more going for him, I think. I did not do a good job in wording it.
To put it simply, his big thing, Eggman's army is better, but Bowser's is larger in number. Bowser has several good win cons, but so does Eggman. His biggest advantage that Bowser really has nothing to go against is the fact that he's significantly more intelligent and significantly less likely to self-sabotage himself just by being stupid. And Bowser is a very big fan of losing.
So many people are obsessed with the numbers. And yeah, the numbers are important in versus, but also things like intelligence, I think, are hard slept on in debates. Because, if there was a guy who was 500 times stronger and faster than me, yes, I'm dead no matter what. But if I have ways to keep myself alive in some shape or form, and I'm way, way smarter, then I don't know. I think I got a way better chance.
It's a big if. I think it's just a case of usually in versus, the numbers are just so big a gap that intelligence rarely matters. Like, you say that you would have a chance, But if this person is 5,000 times faster than you, you literally would not be able to process the information quick enough to use your intelligence before they just walk past you at 5,000 times the speed you could even comprehend and then just blow you up. If speed was equalized versus Battle Wiki style, then yeah, you could probably do something. But if when they are just that much faster, and it's not because intelligence is entirely ignored, it's just that there are a lot of times where the stat gap is so big that it doesn't matter if the opponent knows 50 quintillion martial arts and can outsmart a 59-dimensional brain if they literally cannot think fast enough before the character they're fighting just walks up and gives them a slap in the face and they die.
Well, I do think in the case of Bowser versus Eggman's not going to be out in the open as the fight starts, especially if it's an army fight. He's going to be sitting in his lower
At the very
rank.
least, he's going to be in a mech, yeah.
Yeah.
I do think the imagery of him going up to the very front of his army to fight like that is a little off. I just get more sit in the back energy from Eggman, generally. But Bowser absolutely would just walk to the front and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna throw hands immediately. And I guess that's very emblematic of Bowser's big disadvantage. He is going to be putting himself straight into the fourth. And I guess another thing, while you can say it's harder to kill Bowser, if Eggman's mech blows up, he'll probably just go to a new one before he dies from the explosion. And so Eggman's going to constantly have a new stream of very strong mechs that continue to just come in good as new every time he jumps into one, while Bowser is just going to be Bowser. So...
Where do you keep finding these things?
That's a good question. I don't think Eggman cares. He'll just say, warping through space and time, the Death Egg robot appears.
It's funny that Eggman literally just fucking survives the Death Egg exploding.
Yeah? I hope they calc that. That would be really funny.
Isn't this guy supposed to be human, Wiz? I have no idea. I think we should run.
It's like that fucking that building town level Walking Dead feat. That's yeah, it happened. But let's actually think about this for a second. And there's no real good counter argument to it. It's just that's very much incongruent with what everything's intended. But if you use the Olympics to say that he scales to Bowser, actually he probably could survive that explosion. So it all kind of lines up to prove that the Olympics are canon and can be used for scaling.
We've gone through most of this prediction without even talking about the metal virus. That's just how funny this whole thing is.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no, if Bowser gets hit with that, he's just gonna be under Eggman's control.
Bowser does have a very consistent thing of not being able to deal with it when characters control him. It's pretty common in RPG games for someone to take control of Bowser, and now your final boss is a fusion of them and Bowser. Except in this case, it would be the fusion of Bowser and Metal against Bowser's army, which is kind of a problem.
Eggman also said that, and this would be a process that takes hundreds of years, that people infected by the zombie virus basically just decompose and die. And if they went that route, it would be so fucked up. It's just gonna be well, I got nothing left to do here, and you see a time lapse of Bowser just kind of degrading away.
I mean, the dark thing is that Bowser would just survive even if he was decomposed, because he would just be dry Bowser, because bones don't decompose like that.
Oh well, what if his whole body, inside and out, became metal?
He would live. He's Bowser.
Yes, but it's new super metal from Mario Bros. DS.
Oh, it's super? Well, okay, then Bowser's fucked. Bowser's famously weak to super things. Super Mario, Super Luigi, Super Star, Super Lava. It's a pretty consistent weakness. Yeah, you could also argue that Eggman could roboticize Bowser's army over time. That would be a really fucking funny argument. The idea that it'd be whoa, those Koopas are insane! And start making Mecha Koopas from them, ignoring the fact that Mecha Koopas already exist, but they're not Eggman-style Mecha Koopas. He just makes a bunch of egg robots that are also Koopas, and like Goombas and Galoombas and Bullet Bills. That'd be really funny.
I can't wait for it to be like a whole fun, high octane animation, and then Wendigo Koopa becomes a zombie.
And no, you hurt my daughter, Fury Bowser. Rah!
Oh no, you hurt my legally distinct relative.
You hurt my underaged worker that I do not pay.
You know, when I say it out loud, it kind of makes me look like a bad guy.
Eggman,
like,
you're
in a
harming my
different
child
context.
labor industry. You'll pay for this. Maybe Bowser's just the real villain here.
You know, the Deep Mario theme strike again.
Yeah. Thematically, it's so rich for Eggman to win because Sonic bad, so it doesn't have any strong themes, which means that Eggman is morally in the right. I'm sure that's how that works.
You know, most people are just kind of used predictions that pull out calculators, go way more in depth on the stuff that actually matters. I just like talking.
I mean, calculators for this, no, it don't matter. I mean, the speed feats, sure, but like, wait for Among Us Fall Guys. There'll probably be some grand calculation there for the Among Us.
Like the Among Us guys blow up a planet.
Yeah, I mean, what if it does just come down to like like what I did for my fucking gag one, where it's just like the Among Us guys blow up a planet, but the beans have Bomberman Bean, and that's literally just the end of the discussion. Everyone, what if they just did that?
I mean, like, when it gets announced that's the next time, in 2 weeks, you already know what to do.
It would be really funny if they did that, and then they have a comment of like, "Wait, that's how strong Bomberman is? How did he lose to Dig Dug again?" They wouldn't do that, but that could be really funny if they did bring that up.
No, they go, wait, that's how strong on Bomberman is? Big Dog must be fucking cracked.
And while Bomberman is incredibly powerful, but unfortunately for the Among Us, it literally does not have incredible maneuverability to be able to avoid it. And because he lacks that insane maneuverability and unimaginable speed, it blows up and dies. They literally just use Dig Dug's argument, but spin it to say that this does not apply to the imposter, and that's why the imposter loses.
Weaknesses, bike pumps.
Exactly. And I think that will be it for this prediction. I think we've gone through it enough. It could have been longer, but shut up.
There was a lot more factors that we could have implemented. My favorite being the eclipse.
But, that's a bit unfair. Just keep in mind, because Eggman scales to Bowser physically in the Olympics, his mechs are stronger, so he stomps. Goodbye, everyone.
Yes, goodbye, everyone. Merry Yuletides, and holy shit, is that I don't have a punchline.
Say goodbye, Hyper.